Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, I wanted to do a special episode on breaking down the situation in Venezuela. No, this is not going to be an episode focused solely on politics and the political situation of Venezuela, but looking how cryptocurrencies have become such a thing in Venezuela, breaking down the petro and looking at how cryptocurrencies are actually being used by people every day for survival. All of that and more after a quick shout out to everyone who's been hitting that like button, and of course everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to hit that button down below or the bell to stay up to date with all of the latest in the crypto space. Furthermore, this is of course not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about Venezuela on the internet. Let's get into it, guys. Now, the Venezuela crisis is serious. I'm sure you've probably all heard enough about it on the news, but let's just give you the proper headlines here. Hyperinflation. Now, in 2017, it was 536%. In 2018, the IMF is predicting 2,068% hyperinflation. That is for the bolivar, which is the national currency. So the national currency is worth essentially nothing. You're going to be getting to the situation pretty soon in Venezuela where you have to take a shopping bag full of money in order to buy bread, if you can even, of course, find bread, which brings us to one of our next main points here, food shortages. The government is controlling the price of basic foods, and of course there is a massive black market for food. Severe food shortages around the country, empty shops, empty shelves, a complete nightmare. This is also hitting, of course, medicine. Troubling stories, and the quote here is tragic. Most of the time, patients die because their families are out of the hospital looking for the treatments, and they don't come at a time when we can use the treatment. When they bring the treatment, the patient's already dying. Wow, that's terrible. There's no medicine available in the country, or very little medicine available in the country. And of course, I'm sure there's a black market where the prices are massively marked up. This is a perfect storm of government incompetence, without a doubt. And look, the situation goes on and on from there. Obviously, the crime and poverty are spiraling out of control. They have been for a long time in Venezuela. The government would like to refinance their debt instead of defaulting on their debt. But that hasn't happened yet, unfortunately. Oil output is falling, and of course, the price of oil is remaining rather low. Even if it was low, if they had high enough production, it could be okay, but they don't because production is, as mentioned, falling. It's pretty tough times for Venezuela. Right now, we're looking at a refugee crisis that could eclipse Syria's, predict economists. People, of course, are fleeing. Already 4 million Venezuelans have fled their country. That's massive. Whatever the question was at the start, government is not the answer. And it's an absolute tragic situation what is happening in Venezuela. But you have to remember, this is not an anomaly in global politics. This pattern repeats itself. It's happened in many countries, and it'll happen in other countries. And just because you think currently, hey, I live in a great country and everything's cool here, things can change very quickly. And look, Venezuela's been in a rough situation for quite a while, but other countries that weren't in quite such rough situations can go down very quickly. If you look at Argentina, for example, still quite a functional country, great place to visit if you ever get the chance, but their national currency is also taking a lot of hits, as well as a lot of other currencies around the world, the Ukrainian hryvnia, for example. So this can happen to anybody at any time. Unfortunately, as mentioned, is that perfect storm for Venezuela. So This is Nicolas Maduro. He's the president. He had a great idea. Let's make a cryptocurrency and have an ICO. Because everybody can do it these days, guys. You know what the saying is. If you want to raise a few $billions, have an ICO. Oil. Throw a blockchain on top of it. People will love it. Oh, goodness gracious. You know, this is coming from a government which, of course, has, you know, killed protesters and all that stuff, which is, again, tragic situation. But mostly for us, again, we're not trying to focus so much on the internal politics, but on how crypto is partaking in Venezuela. This government was previously very anti-cryptocurrency because, of course, cryptocurrencies threatened their power. They were arresting Bitcoin miners. We covered a lot of stories last year about Bitcoin miners in Venezuela being arrested, police cracking down on people using cryptocurrencies. That has changed very quickly in Venezuela. Be curious to find out if anyone got released from jail that was arrested for mining cryptocurrencies, by the way. And of course, what happened to their machines? I imagine the police took them down to the police station, plugged them in, and started mining Bitcoin. Now, the Petro is seen by many as not a good cryptocurrency, unsurprisingly, but they have still at least claimed to have raised $3 billion. Apparently, $1 billion in Bitcoin. That's crazy. $500 million approximately worth of Ethereum, and a good percentage of US dollars. Apparently investors from around the world were interested in getting involved in the Petro. Now, the Petro is backed up by oil. Some are looking at it as an advanced sale of oil. But the cryptocurrency itself is being seen as a mode of payment within Venezuela. Now, look, regular Venezuelans are very skeptical of the Petro, unsurprisingly. You have to ask yourself a question. If this government and central bank have been so incredibly inept with the economy already, have totally messed up their national currency, how are they going to successfully run a cryptocurrency? People who were previously anti it, knew very little about it, all of a sudden decided to have this blockbuster token sale. It's a crazy situation. I personally have zero faith in them successfully running the Petro. Of course, it'll be highly centralized. It's admitted by the Venezuelan central bank. I feel like this is some sort of crazy joke, like, hey, we screwed up the Bolivar. Have these junky tokens instead. Everyone can use the Petro. Yeah. Of course, some see this simply as an attempt to circumvent sanctions. So by having a token sale, people weren't actually investing in Venezuela, they were buying a token. And of course, by accepting cryptocurrencies, they're able to just step around any sanctions that might have prohibited people from investing in this. The Petro is now accepted as a payment for airline tickets and fuel, amongst other things, by the way. Again, it's a crazy situation where the Bolivar is worth nothing, so hey, have this potentially valueless cryptocurrency and accept that at banks and for airline tickets, for example. Worrying, without a doubt. Venezuela is also launching free cryptocurrency training courses for its citizens, primarily talking about how to buy, sell, and mine the Petro. Unsurprisingly, of course. Now, the government has turned around on cryptocurrencies. They now say that mining is perfectly legal, so you can now mine cryptocurrencies. They will not be arresting you anymore. Of course, you wouldn't want to be advertising the fact that you're mining cryptocurrencies with all the crime that's going on in Venezuela. Now, Venezuela is the cheapest or the second cheapest country to mine Bitcoin in. Kuwait may have that title of the cheapest country, but it's not a big difference between the two, and it depends on the metric that you're using to measure it. But nevertheless, the problem here is that the government wants to know everything that's going on. And so they want to regulate Bitcoin mining. You guys see where this is going? Corrupt, inept government finds out that cryptocurrencies are a nice way to step around sanctions, plus that it's cheap to mine cryptocurrencies inside their country. They want to get a piece of the pie. Unfortunate situation. Now, there will be an online registry for Bitcoin miners. I think you'd be crazy if you were Venezuelan and you signed up for that Bitcoin registry. I feel like that's the kind of situation where in 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden the government decides, we're confiscating everyone's Bitcoin miners. We're taking it all. Can't trust the public with it. It's a danger to our economy. You guys can imagine all the reasons that they, of course, might come up with. Now, why, of course, is it so popular? Because their own currency sucks. The petro was not the answer. Bitcoin is the answer. It's cheap to mine Bitcoin if you're in Venezuela, and you can buy things with it. There is a flourishing market in Venezuela for using cryptocurrencies, which is, of course, very exciting. Now, they're planning to limit crypto exchanges within Venezuela. So if you're planning on cashing out for US dollars, or God forbid you should want to get the bolivars for some reason, well, it's going to be tricky. Decentralized exchanges will be a great asset for the people of Venezuela. So hopefully we can see more of those coming online soon that will give them the tools they need to trade in a decentralized fashion without having to rely on the government exchanges, because you guys know again what will happen if the government's running the exchanges. They will know who has the cryptocurrencies, and I can foresee confiscations coming in. Just speculation, of course. We'll have to see what actually turns out in the end. But I feel like this is a situation where the government elites are looking at it and thinking, this is a good chance for us. Now, for Venezuelans, Bitcoin is survival, guys. They're buying food with it. They're buying medicine with it. There's a booming market right now of people buying things online, buying gift cards, Amazon gift cards, for example, using Paxful as an example, or simply buying things directly with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. And there are services running out of Miami that are flying goods into Venezuela, getting around customs, and getting things delivered to people. People are getting food, people are getting medicine, and they can't do it using bolivars, they can't do it using dollars. They're doing it with cryptocurrencies, guys. They're mining them at home, and they're buying things to support themselves. This is it. This is an amazing use case for cryptocurrencies. International access to food and medicines, absolute survival based on Bitcoin. The government can't stop it. They want to control it. You see what they want to do. They want to have you registered on the exchanges. They want to control the petro. They want to make people register for Bitcoin mining. They want to control it, but I think Venezuelans are too clever to fall for the government's ploys of controlling the cryptocurrency. Because it's decentralized, guys, they can't shut it down. They can't stop people from taking out their phones and transferring money from one person to the other. It's going to happen. And of course, one thing that's really interesting too is the cryptocurrency communities internationally coming together to help Venezuela. Crypto aid is a cool thing. Regular avenues, you of course have to pay administrative fees and all these things to different charities. And of course, a lot of charities are probably find it difficult to work in Venezuela due to sanctions and the political situation, etc., etc. And so cryptocurrencies have kind of just jumped the fence and said, hey, let's just give money to people there who are activists, or how we can get food in there, people we can coordinate with. The guys over at Bitcoin Cash have what's called Eat BCH. It's a fantastic idea, but they're giving food to people in Venezuela, so they're feeding people in Venezuela. An absolutely commendable effort from the team at Bitcoin Cash. Dash has become very popular in Venezuela. It's drawn a lot of public interest. because, of course, low fees and quick transfer rates. The guys over at Smart Cash, actually, as well, have been working, again, in Venezuela, trying to get a bit of adoption, but also doing food distribution as well, running humanitarian projects in Venezuela, so that is really cool. And Steemit itself actually has become a big thing in Venezuela. I remember when I first signed up to Steemit, there were a lot of people from Venezuela signing up all the time. And I actually think I have quite a few people from Venezuela following me, of course, which is really cool. Now, the great thing for them is that they can post, support each other in that community, and of course earn Steem, which is awesome. They can then probably buy things directly with Steem. There's a lot of different people who accept Steem, or of course they can find a way to trade that Steem for Bitcoin, for example, or something else, and then buy the things that they need for posting about the situation in their country or supporting their community by upvoting other people's posts. Again, great. Cryptocurrencies coming to the rescue here, guys. It's very cool. Now this is a little more light-hearted part of the story. Dia de los Enamorados in Venezuela. So, Valentine's Day, if you will. They talk about different ways that you can spend cryptocurrencies to buy things on Valentine's Day. That's from going out to breakfast, to buying gifts, to taking trips within the country, using Dash or Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Dash is actually quite a popular option if you read through the article here. Now, what is next for Venezuela? Gosh, I only hope good things. Unfortunately, I feel like with the government getting this new influx of money, I'm pessimistic, unfortunately. But I am certainly very optimistic about what cryptocurrencies are doing for everyday Venezuelans. If they can avoid the government at all costs, they can keep living in their country in spite of the difficult situation. So I know that for us in nice, safe countries like New Zealand or Australia or the UK, it's really easy to sit back and think, well, Bitcoin's just a speculative asset and put some money in it, hope it goes up, get some money out of it. That's great. It's cool for us, but you have to remember, this digital currency has such amazing utility. It can literally feed people when there's no other way to get food. Anyway, that is just my thoughts. You guys let me know what you think about the situation in Venezuela, and in particular in relation to how cryptocurrencies are operating in Venezuela. Let me know what you think of the Petro. Is it the pile of rubbish that many assume it to be? Hit me up in the comment section down below, guys. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.